All right, everyone, welcome back and bear down. It's officially over. The Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. What a Super Bowl. Not the way that I wanted it to go. I wanted to see George Kittle, the lifetime Bears fan, win a Super Bowl. I wanted to see the Niners beat the reign and stop the dynasty that is the Chiefs. But, I really didn't have a dog in the fight, so I don't mind either way. I really just want to see the Bears be getting there very soon. So this isn't going to be one of those deep analytical or opinionated videos. If you guys are looking for that, this is really just a timeline video of what's going to happen next. It is informative, so if you want to see, I'll try to go through it quicker because I know this isn't the stuff that everyone's really dying to see. So let's look back at last year first. Here's the end of the year 53-man roster at the end of 2022. This kind of helps see where the team was, though. This could give you guys a realistic picture of where this rebuild is going as you look at this. I'm not going to go through all of these, but if you really break this down from every single position, we were weaker. So that shows the rebuild is working. This is the offense. When I go to the defense, here's the defense. Every single position, we were weaker. So shows you where the rebuild process is going. I'm not going to make that the focus of this video. We might do something with that later. But that's where things end up at the end of the year. So that's where the Bears are. The next step is where they sign reserve and future contracts. So let's explain what that is real quick. So your league year is over. It's officially done. Anyone who's not on your 53-man roster or anybody else's, if they're on a practice squad or unsigned free agent, if they're not on a 53-man roster, they're able to be signed to a reserve contract. And no, it's not futures like the stock market, stuff like that. They make it sound confusing, but really it's just a future contract that won't take effect until March when the new league year starts. So those of you who are commenting that nothing can happen in this time period right now, that nothing's allowed to happen until March 11th, that's not true. Reserve future contracts, trades can be done. They just can't be made official until March 11th because this league year doesn't end until then. So this league year is still going on. But these guys who aren't under contract, who are on practice squads and who are undrafted or who are unsigned free agents, they're able to be signed to futures contracts. So anybody can really sign one of our practice squad guys to a reserve future contract. And the same with our own guys, which you see on here. These are the ones straight off the Bears website from last year. And you'll see I'll put this year's so that have been done so far. So that's what this time period is right now that we're in. Then what we get to is the NFL Combine, top 30 interviews. That'll be the next step after that. Like I said, we're going to try to go through this fairly quick. Just give you a timeline of where things are headed. And then after that, you're going to see the new league season begin, which this year starts on 3/11. So that's when you'll see all the fun begin. You'll see the free agent signings, the trades be finalized, the big deals going through. And this is last year. So you can pause this if you want. You can see all the things that happened, the free agent signings. We did have a very active free agent class last year because we had a big salary cap. You'll see something similar this year. It's not quite as big, but it kind of really started in the middle of last season when we got Montez Sweat. That was the huge addition, and then we signed him to an extension. But you see there on 3/15, that's when we traded. When it became official that we traded the draft pick, number 1 overall for DJ Moore, number 9, number 61, and 2 future picks. There's the big one. And then not everyone we signed sticks with it either. You see, we cut P.J. Walker later. But we're not going to get into all the details of that. But that's when this next event happens on that timeline. So that'll be the second week of March. Then you get into the NFL draft. Here's last year's draft class, a very productive draft. Not everyone's on the team. Travis Bell and Kendall Williamson are gone. But very good additions for this team. A first, 2 seconds, a third, and 2 fourth-round picks is very valuable. And some of those positions, like I've talked about in my other videos, the first and second rounders are your impact players. You can get some of the third round, but really fourth and fifth round, we're going to see the only ones that are really going to be impact players are going to be your running backs and your linebacker type of players. So we did get a couple there. I'm really excited for Noah Sewell. But the draft would be the next step. That's the end of April. Then you're going to get in your OTAs, your mini camps, and signing of those contracts and the undrafted free agents. So that's going to happen directly right after the draft and into April through June before that all takes a break. And then we get into August with the 90-man rosters, and then we get into trimming down the 90-man roster and then finalizing the 53-man roster in September. and then starting the official preseason. So that's where that all stands with the timeline. Here is our 53-man roster to end the year this year, so just so you can compare where things are. Oh, I didn't really specify that earlier. Let me go back and show you. It doesn't matter because that was last year. But the ones in red, that just means they were on the injured reserve to end the year. So here's this year's 53-man roster. You can see Joe Reed was on the injured reserve. We've signed him to a futures contract already. His contract expires, so he's on a futures contract with us. So this is the team. If you look at that and compare it to last year's, it's significantly better, but it's got a long ways to go. So this is a true rebuild. I think fans really need to take careful consideration into what this really is, where this team really is. Because if you noticed last year, Chase Claypool was our wide receiver 1 with Darnell Mooney on the injured reserve at the end of the year, and we really had nobody else. Now DJ Moore is the true, really only one wide receiver that we have on this group. The rest of them are truly wide receiver 4s or 5s. You might disagree with me on Darnell Mooney, but he was thrust into wide receiver 1 because we didn't have any other option. But he's not a wide receiver 1 in this league. A wide receiver 3 at best, in my opinion. Okay, I said this wouldn't be an opinionated video. There's an opinion for you. All right, so there's the offense. We won't get into too much of that. But take note of where this roster is compared to last year's. And the same thing on defense. Here's defense. All right? So that's where the team is now. Now, here's the next step. We've ended the year. Here's our future reserve contracts. This is straight off the Bears website. This is what's been done so far from 1/8 to 1/12 to current, actually, to February now. Those are the reserve future contracts that we've signed. You can see a lot of guys were from our own practice squad, and you can see some additional players as well, some that interest me a little bit, such as long snapper Cameron Lyons. I wonder if we're not going to re-sign Patrick Scales and go with the cheaper contract of Cameron Lyons as long as he's able to do the job just as adequately. We'll see. Those are undetermined things. But then here's the upcoming events that you guys are probably worried about. So from February 20th to March 5th, that's when teams can officially franchise or transition tag. So right now, guys, the league isn't just dead. Ryan Poles and his team are hard at work right now doing all the research and the work, and they are trying to negotiate those things out with current players. They're going to try to get those things done with the players that need to be done. Now, if Jalen Johnson isn't going to be realistic about where he stands, which I don't see him being, he wants to reset the market, then that's this period of time, February 20th to March 5th, is when we can franchise tag him for 18.8 is what they're going to set it at for cornerbacks. So this is the period of time we could do that. Then February 27th through March 4th is when the NFL Scouting Combine, and then the next month after that will be the top 30 visits where they come into House Hall. I think that ends around April 15th. I'm going off my memory on that one, so don't hold me to that one. But a couple weeks before the draft begins, they stop top 30 visits where they do the official visits in Hallis Hall. March 11th through the 13th, a new league year begins. And as you saw in last year's, I'll take you back there real quick. That's where these massive signings happened last year when we're trying to rebuild this team. Nate Davis, DeMarcus Walker, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds. That's when all of these things happened, when the league year became official and we moved into that new league year and all that stuff could take place. And then April 25th through April 27th will be the NFL draft in Detroit this year. And then, of course, it's not this big lull. It really does go right away. So people like me who stay up with it every day and get excited about it and want to track every single move, it doesn't really go into a lull because right after the draft is when teams can have their mini camps. And then we get into OTAs, and we get into the summer months where you see the summer OTAs, and then you get into the 90-man roster in August and September. And it's one big cycle where this is going to be the most exciting offseason ever for the Chicago Bears, what we do with that number one pick, how we rebuild the roster from here, because we're not in the crazy, slummy, garbage period of 2022 when we had to restart from nothing, and we really had a horrible roster that was the reason we had 3 wins. To last year rebuilding to this year is where we really get a set in motion where this team can be a contender. Are they going to be expected to win the NFC North? No, especially with how competitive it's gotten and how solid the Lions are and how well the Packers played last year. But will they be competitive and be considered a competitor? Absolutely. And that's what's going to be exciting is to see if they can take that Detroit Lions type of leap and take the North back over and make it to the NFC Championship game, make it to the Super Bowl. that's what's going to be exciting to see this offseason. So hope you guys are excited. Hopefully this was a little bit informative. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I do like to interact with you guys, so let me know what questions you have, because I do like to answer those types of things, and we have a big offseason coming up. So till next time, bear down.